Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Well, it's another Sunday evening, and we are here, Women in Waiting 23. And of course, it's a time when we connect with a woman who has a story, a journey, an experience to share. And today we are honored and privileged to have with us Miss Lorraine Anthony Bino. But before I go there to get her in and to share her story, just to tell you where Women in Waiting 23 came from, it was birthed out of a non-profit organization called TEMA International with the vision, a gift of love, divinely inspired, meeting the needs of widows and widowers everywhere. And just to tell you a little bit of who I am, well, I'm Shirley Mitchell Berman. I'm your host, and the tagline God gave for Women in Waiting 23 is, I was born to talk. And with me every Sunday evening from 8 p.m. to 8:30, we have women coming in who are born to talk and to share their journey, story, or experience. So as I said, today is another special time. This woman of God has been with TEMA since its inception. She also serves as a director with the organization, and we thank God for her journey and her testimony this evening. I know without a shadow of a doubt, you will be blessed, you will be inspired, you will be encouraged, you will be motivated to stand in there and wait upon that time when God will bring to pass your miracle. And that season of waiting will seem like it was just a minute or a moment when you hear her testimony this evening. So at this time, I just want to welcome Minister Lorraine Anthony Bino. Welcome, Lorraine. Unmute your mic and I'm going to give you the floor.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for having me. I have learned over the years that whatever we have been through is not in vain, because my story can encourage or help someone else. So I'm here today to tell you one of them. I had a very adventurous, have been having a very adventurous life. But, this particular time in my life, I think was very unexpected. And I think this is what I want to talk about today. Me becoming a widow. My husband of 22 years was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer 2 weeks after his 50th birthday. That would have been in 2014. And for me, in the beginning, it was like I was watching someone else's life. Like, you're watching a movie and you're watching someone else's life unfold with all these dramas, and because it felt so surreal. Neither my husband's side of the family or my side of the family had cancer. Both our parents were still alive. My grandmother was still alive. We have long livers in our lineage. And yet, here is the doctor telling us that the cancer is so far gone that they cannot operate. And basically, he was going to die. And I had to deal with that, not just as a wife, but as a Christian. In that particular time of my life, I was getting more involved in ministry through TEMA, through my church. I was very, very active in just about anything that comes to ministry, because I had made myself available, for God to do whatever he wanted to do in me. And, I was so settled in this life, having a husband, having that covering. And, I was really, really settled in that life. And here I was, not 50 years yet, because my husband is older than me, having to deal with the possibility that I was going to be a widow. And if I listened to what the doctor said, It was going to be in a matter of weeks, months for the most. And it's not that I don't believe that God can heal. As a matter of fact, I prayed and asked God if it's his will to heal him. But you still have to deal with the reality that your life as you know it was going to change. And the thing is, I did not know exactly when, and I did not know how it was going to unfold. And I just had to trust God. I just had to trust God. And I remembered, you know, probably a month, 2 months into his diagnosis, and I'm watching this man of 235 pounds wither away until I can barely see him on the bed among the pillows. And I was so overwhelmed. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I went in my car in the garage and I prayed, because there were so many other things that I was dealing with, the other family members, the pulling, the tugging, the different things, plus that fact that I have to actually prepare myself for the eventuality that that man that I had known for 26 years, which is basically half of my life, may not be there very soon. And I found myself in my vehicle 2 o'clock in the morning. But because of the relationship that I have with God, and because of the fact that I have seen God work in so many different ways, in so many miraculous ways, in ways that I myself did not expect. It's just after the fact I look back and realize, hey, God did it. I did not question God. I did not ask him why. So my prayer to him was, Father, I'm not going to ask you why this happened at this point in time. I'm not going to ask you why us. I am just asking you for your strength, and I'm asking you, God, just to be with me. And the Holy Spirit comforted me and answered me in that time of need and said, I will be with you and I will give you strength. And there began my journey of waiting for either him to be healed or for that day God will take him, and what will be my process, what God will do with me after that point. Because I know it's not a journey that I can go alone. Widowhood is not a journey anyone can really go alone. You always need some sort of support, because there is so much adjusting to do. You have been with this person for years. This person has been your best friend, your confidant, you understand, your everything. And there, you know, you have to face the fact that very soon, probably, you wouldn't have that anymore. And if you're somebody like me, I am not one to have many friends. I have very few close friends. I was never a person to have a lot of friends. I rather quality than quantity. So you would find that my friends were just a few to count, but thank God were people that I can count on, I could call on, I could talk to, you know, that kind of support that was needed. My husband, even though he was supposed to have died within weeks, months for the most, we started to do, apart from praying, because we are praying family, so we got together, we were holding prayer meetings and whatever, and apart from that, we took him to get, like, you know, treatment from the natural healing, and use the pawpaw leaves and the it's two things we were using. We were using the pawpaw and the soursop leaves, and you know, he will drink that. We started juicing 3 times a day. We cut out the meat, we changed his diet and whatever. And as a result of that, and I believe it's because God had given him a reprieve. I remember the story of King Hezekiah, I think it was, that when he prayed to God and asked God for mercy, God gave him length of days. He had given him 15 years. And I believe my husband was given that reprieve to live, because even though the doctors were all saying at this stage, when it's stage 4, it reaches in your bone, it's in your blood, you're just about dead. We're just waiting. All I can do now, the doctor told him, all I can do now is give you painkillers to make you as comfortable as you can be. And that's the point that he was. And people, I saw God raise up that man to the point that after 10 months of being bedridden, where the doctors had given up on him, he was able to go back out to work. He was able to resume duty. And I started to look to God, and as again, I'm not questioning. I'm just putting everything to God, as because He did promise. He did promise to be with me, and God is not slack concerning His promises. His words are yea and amen. And as children of God, you need, no matter what situation you are faced with, you have to believe what the word say. You have to stand on that word. You have to have that firm belief and that faith in the God that you serve, that if He says that, it is what it is. And that's how I lived. That's how I lived. 2 years after my husband was supposed to die, 2 years, he was still living. But then the symptoms of the cancer came back. And it came back in such an aggressive way that my husband started to deteriorate at a rapid pace. We were buying our own chemo. We were buying our own tablet. We were doing whatever we can do. But at this point, his body just started to give up. And even in the midst of it, I saw God's hand. There was a strength in me that I knew did not come from me. Because there were many days I would rather curl up in the bed in a fetal position and don't get up. But I got up every day. I saw about what my husband had to get. I put out his meal. I separated the tablets because he had a different set of tablets to take different hours of the day. I put it in the container as it's supposed to be. I prepared him, I bathed him, and I did whatever I needed to do. And I went to work. And I did my job every single day. And I did that for 3 years. 3 years. And I know I could testify it's only because of God. It's only because of God. Coming down to the beginning of January of 2017, my husband's health deteriorated to the point where he could no longer walk, because the cancer had ravaged his hips and his leg and that kind of thing. So he was bedridden, and when he took a turn for the worse, he was sent to Mount Hope. And again, the doctors told him there is nothing that they can do. So they sent him to a core where they call it palliative care. Basically, it's saying, we're going to just try and keep you comfortable until you died. That's basically what it's saying there. And I stood by my husband's side for 2 weeks. And I honestly, I knew that God was in the midst of it, because I sat by his bedside through all his pain. I will get up in the night, I will pray with him, I will sing, I will massage, I'll do anything I can to ease. And I want to tell you all something that left an impact on my life. Because like I say, when God says He's going to do something, He does it. Patients from both Montauk Hospital and the Cora Hospital, nurses, doctors came to me at different times and said, listen, I admire your strength. The way that you have been by your husband's side, the way that you have taken it in course, you don't look flustered, you just, and I was able through that to let them know that God was the one that had promised to give me that strength, and He has done it. I was able, through that strength that God has given me, to be a testimony to others. One of the nurses said, I called my brother in New York and told him about you. She said, because many people will leave their relatives when they reach to this stage and just wait for a call to say that, okay, they died, for them to come and make funeral arrangements. She said, the way I saw you dedicated, the things that you have done, the nights that you have stayed up with him, because coming down to the last, my husband was on morphine every 4 hours and it was not helping. He was just in constant pain. So it was no sleep. It was just there trying to comfort him in whatever way I can. And God did it. He did it. So my testimony in the midst of waiting, and sometimes the waiting may not be something that you're ready for. Because in this case, I was not ready for widowhood. I know they say till death do us part, and I know that death was coming. But at the age of 48, I was thinking in terms of we grow old and then one of us die. Not a man in his prime. Cut down. Withering away before my eyes. By the time my husband died, he was 120 pounds, from 300, 225 pounds. So, you know, the process and I wasn't ready for it, but because God was in the midst of it, because God was on that journey with me. By the time my husband died, I was able to stand up while they getting his body ready, because I was there for everything. I saw them clean him up, get him ready, put him in the van to send him to the arm thing. I was right there. I sat down while waiting for the doctor to come to do the certificate and whatever, because it was 2 minutes past 2 in the morning on the 5th of May, which is just the beginning of this month here, gone, it will be 6 years. And God gave me that strength that even then, I sat down, all my husband's favorite songs and hymns came back to me. So I did a program. I put down all that I needed to do, who I needed to call, and people may have looked at me in that thing and say she's unemotional. No, I wasn't. But God had already prepared me. God had already buffered me to that point. Even though that I didn't think I was ready, God readied me. He prepared me. I was able to do what I needed to do. And yes, there were times when it was difficult, because you're talking about somebody you spend half your life with. So sometimes just the thought of him dying and not being there anymore, that companionship, that presence, I think it was one of the most devastating things for me. That presence. It took me a while after he died not to come rushing home, because we worked in the same place, so he knew the same people and all the characters, and you know, all the stories that will come with them. And it took me a while, you know, because I coming home ready to tell Val, hey, this one do this and that happened there and whatever, and then I remember Val is not there. Val is not there. But at the time when I needed the strength, at the time when I needed to be prepared for this journey of widowhood, God stepped in. And he continues to be with me on this journey. I've seen his hands in so many ways in my life. I mean, in times when, you know, there's a saying, God does protect you from yourself. Sometimes he does, because sometimes in your vulnerability, you make certain decisions, you do certain things, but because God is such a faithful God and Father, he never lets you go. He never lets you down. No matter what journey you're on, no matter what you're waiting for, understand this. If you trust in God, and if God say that he's going to do it, he's going to do it. It may not be in your time, but in his timing, because his timing is always perfect and will always be on the right time. So, you know, whatever you're going through, whatever your wait may be, wait in faith. Wait, trusting and believing that the God that has brought you thus far is more than able to carry you through, to take you forward into all that he has for you. And he has plenty, because he's a loving Father who wants the best for every one of us. Wait, and God is going to do it for you as he has been doing it for me. God bless.
This particular segment, I know, it's not an easy one, but we did it. We had to do it. We had to do it for you that are out there, that you are probably being faced with this reality. And here is a woman that God took through and is able to tell her story, and to tell it with such strength and with such grace, knowing that it only could have been but for God that she is remaining standing, you know, and being able to reassure you that it's not easy. It wasn't easy, but because of God and his faithfulness and his grace, you know, she was able to brave through that particular place and to come to terms with the reality of becoming a widow. Again, I want to say thank you for sharing this very deep, significant, meaningful part of your journey in this life with us today. I know I do not take it lightly, and those that are hearing, I know that they will be encouraged. We give God praise for keeping you thus far, and even for your ability to continue to serve within the organization as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for being our guest today, Minister. And I couldn't help but remember that song, His Strength is Perfect. When all strength is gone, He'll carry us when we can't carry on. Raised in His power, the weak become strong. His strength is perfect. And truly, His strength continues to be perfect. So God bless you richly and continue to do that which God has mandated you to do. And may He continue to add to your life and give you other opportunities to share even this journey of waiting and others that I know you have as well. But I really, really want to thank you on behalf of Tame Women in Waiting 23 for sharing this particular one. I know it would not have been an easy choice to choose this one, but somebody needs to hear this testimony. And we thank God that even for those of you who will be connecting with the replay, we thank God that, you know, we were able to make this time, this particular segment, available to you. And we will be praying for you, Minister Lauren. We'll continue to pray for you and your family, and we'll be praying for you maybe at that door, at that point, and you're wondering. We continue to encourage you and to say, take it 1 minute or second at a time. Try not to go ahead of it and leave the rest up to God. So God bless you this evening, and thank you so much for joining us. See you next Sunday evening, where we will have another guest with us on Women in Waiting 23. God bless you and have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you and good night, everyone.